All right, it's a summit. It's a wet morning in the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria. My name is Banji Busari, and the program is Summit, of course. Today is the eve. By this time tomorrow, drums would have been rolled out. Yes, you ask why. Of course, the news is in town already. 59th independence anniversary of our country, of our dear, beloved country, Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari will actually be leading us out to actually celebrate the 59th anniversary of our country. But then in some quarters, questions are being asked. Why do we have to celebrate? Are we where we're supposed to be? Was this the dream of our founding fathers, those who actually fought for our independence? When they actually fought, engaged the colonialist government, was it the dream, the aspirations, the vision they had about Nigeria? Again, some other people will say, why not? Why shouldn't we celebrate? We are one very big, ever-growing, indivisible country. That's Nigeria. We started with about 4 regions. Today, we are about 36 states with a federal capital. We are growing. So the arguments back and forth, people are actually arguing along different lines. So, but then, I am saying happy independence in advance. I'm a Nigerian. I'm happy that I'm here. No other country can actually give me the freedom that I enjoy within Nigeria. A summit, we'll go on a short break, but then you'll be wondering why I'm introducing, why I'm actually anchoring alone. Jumoke is a bit under the weather, but I assure you, when she comes back on Wednesday, she'll be much, much stronger to do what she knows how to do best. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll actually go into the mainstream of the program Summit. Oh yes, you're welcome back. It's still Summit. You're on Summit. We're actually discussing the independence anniversary of our country, 59th independent anniversary of this great country. But then before we actually go into the ministry, like I said earlier on, we will talk about education. Let's quickly remind you that the University Access Center located at 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja, is actually waiting for candidates who sat for the post-UTME and were unable to make it. Of course, the universities are actually winding up arrangements on admission for 2019, 2020, but all hope is not lost. Yes, for those who could not make it, because out of maybe so much, only about 20% made it. What happens to the rest? But then University Access Center is assuring you that yes, once you come, there's a great hope to study, to read the course of your choice, and then to get the university of your choice. Whether it is going to be free scholarship within the country or outside the country, University Access Center is well equipped to actually offer you consultancy. And at the head of that agency is Dr. Peter Ogudoro, the CEO, University Access Center, located at 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja. The number to reach him is 080-2324-9654. Yes, take advantage of this opportunity. Dr. Peter Ogudoro is a management career consultant, and you can be rest assured that this man has all it takes to actually guide you to choose a course that will actually benefit you immensely, maximally in future, and then university where you pay maybe much less or even free this year or the years to come. That's the information from the University Access Center. Number, once again, is 080-2324-9654. Yes, education is important. I have on set today to actually roll with me somebody you know, and he knows you too, because he sees you through the inner sight of his. My guest is no stranger to Summit. He's been here a couple of times. As a matter of fact, he's a friend to this program. That's why we rely on him when it comes to important issues. A public affairs analyst and entrepreneur of note. I have the pleasure to introduce to you on today's edition of the program, Mr. Gbola Oba. It's our pleasure, sir.
Always a privilege to be on your side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for obliging us.
I should be thanking you for the opportunity.
I believe strongly that I'm actually having a Nigerian on set.
A Nigerian who, as we speak, is still being lambasted by friends and family for rejecting the opportunity since 1995 to hold a British passport.
To hold a British passport?
I've been eligible since 1995. In 1997, the Conservative Party, the ruling party in England, presented me as a candidate. And I told the leadership of my local Conservative Party that I was carrying a Nigerian passport. They took me to the council's electoral officer, and he said, you know what? As a Nigerian who is a member of the Commonwealth, that I could actually become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. That is the constitutional order of the United Kingdom. And ever since then, I've never had any reason to want that passport. And as recently as about 7 weeks ago, friends and relations were still lambasting me in London that, Egbon, you must be. So I am proudly Nigerian. Indeed, when I'm going to be in England in the next 2.5 weeks, my winter jacket has boldly written behind it, proudly Nigerian, made with leather and Ankara. How more can I be Nigerian than voting conscience and conviction to be fully Nigerian? And you know what? There are so many people who are ruling us now against the constitutional order of Nigeria, who carry 2 passports. And the constitutional order of Nigeria says that to become a member of the House of Representatives, to become governor, but we know people who will conveniently deny their second passports, that they are only holding Nigerian passports. So
I want to congratulate you, because even that's a decision
some people may even think that you are congratulating me on foolishness.
Let me congratulate.
Members of my family,
No.
And some of my friends.
Those ones they are not proudly Nigerians. You are a proud Nigerian, and you are proudly so. So that's why I'm congratulating you. Nigeria exists, and we're still together because of people like you. I believe that spirit is what is keeping Nigeria on. And 59 years after, we're still together as a nation. Do you have in any way regret the fact that you did not accept British passport? Do you in any way? Are there any ways where you felt, this is what I could have done, would have placed me much higher or greater, offer me greater advantage?
Let's be very realistic. All my children are between United Kingdom and United States of America. I don't have any reason going to UK to fill any form anymore, at least for the rest of my life, in so much as I go once in 2 calendar years. But I've had occasions when there were needs to be in places like China, in places like China or Canada, that ordinarily I just let those opportunities roll by, because I couldn't withstand the rigmarole of having to go submit myself for visa. You understand? So I can't sit here and honestly tell you that snubbing that passport has not had consequences for me, but within the context of my entrepreneurial passion and predisposition, God has been good enough.
God has been good enough. Let's
because I still go to England. I still go to England, and those who carry the British passport still look onto people like us as entrepreneurial mentors. There must be something that God has done right that is being validated in somebody like me.
Okay, thank you very much. If you go out to the street there, many Nigerians are actually looking forward to this celebration tomorrow. They are happy that Nigeria is still one, and that the dreams of the founding fathers of one indivisible country, though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And there's so much they believe that Nigeria has the potential of greatness, and we're actually growing. Do you share that belief? Do you share that thinking?
Many Nigerians will not be enthusiastically looking forward to that. You seem to have painted a very romantic picture. Many Nigerians will treasure the fact that there's going to be a public holiday tomorrow, especially those who are in paid employment. Many Nigerians who are thoughtful,
who are in paid employment, they know with or without, they will still collect their salary.
I said, especially those who are in paid employment. So the holiday would give them, they know it's going to be, the day is going to be paid for, notwithstanding the fact. But let's be very honest with ourselves. I'm not a romanticist, and I don't like to paint an over-exaggerated, optimistic picture. Many Nigerians are not looking forward to celebrating the Independence Day.
Really?
But some will treasure the holiday, some will treasure the gift of life, some will treasure the fact that at least a preponderant majority of us are still in areas not ravaged by the misfortune of those who live in, say, 8 local governments in Borno State, where a member of the House of Representatives was still saying a couple of days ago that in 8 local government areas in Borno State now, Boko Haram rules supreme. Some Nigerians will treasure the fact that upon all the bad news of kidnappings and whatever, at least they are still in relative liberty. So I'm sitting there believing that it may not yet be uhuru, but thoughtful people would have reasons to be thankful. Because
you'll be thankful, in all things. Yes. Nigerians who were actually deported from South Africa a couple of weeks ago, who actually evacuated and brought back, will be among such people. Because at the eve, that's when they were actually leaving South Africa. You could see them, that eulogy, that they were so happy returning to their country, and they sang the national anthem, knowing fully well that this is only one country that offers them freedom, unfettered access to many things. So people who are not in such situations may not appreciate the fact that Nigeria is still there, and
we have to be a bit sober when we are painting such pictures, because it's easy to want to use that seemingly optimistic picture, but something led them in the first place to emigrate from Nigeria. I once emigrated from these shores, and I was fortunate to have emigrated when the circumstance and the conditions in Europe was very receptive to an average emigrant or immigrant. When I landed in Germany, the German authorities would give 500 Dutch mark, equivalent of about 300 pounds on a weekly basis to me, after giving me a house and voucher for food. The same Germany, as we speak, has an outgoing chancellor, prime minister, an outgoing chancellor who lost a political career or came into the doldrums that she is now because she decided to take in a quantum of Syrian refugees into Germany. We live now in a world of populism. We live now in a world of xenophobia. We live now in a world where immigrants don't find it easy in any society where they are immigrants. So something made those people to go to South Africa in the first place. But in the context of the xenophobic attacks and the fatalities and the emotional haranguing and the circumstantial frustration, as at the juncture when that plane ride was available, like all human beings,
there's a place to run to. Now let's take a retrospective view of this country from 1960. The founding fathers had tall dreams. Nigeria where there will be freedom, Nigeria where there will be economic buoyancy, Nigeria where so many things will happen. Of course, as at 1959, we had the first television station. We had so many tall dreams, visions, great visions about this country from our leaders, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sardauna, and so on and so forth, many of them. Now, looking back to this, how far or how much of those dreams or how far have those visions been realized as a nation?
The vision was very, very large. And the constitutional order or conferences or confabulations that ultimately culminated in the geographical entity or the polity called Nigeria was so structured and so intellectually rich that between the Independence Constitution and the Republican Constitution of 1963, we gave ourselves a constitutional order that encouraged creativity in leadership, that encouraged sustainable development, that encouraged a number of positives. But unfortunately, as it was the wound in that decade, the 60s, the military struck. And from the coup of 15 January 1966 to the retaliatory coup of July 1966 to indeed the 3-year period of the Civil War, and ultimately the 9 years of military rule before handing over to civilians, and also looking at the backdrop of the exuberance of the politicians, the political class, exuberance, greed, vaulting ambition of the political class that precipitated the coups, not so much because the coups were justified. We lost the best constitutional order that we've ever had, and from May 1966, when the then circumstantial head of state, General
Rossi.
May, I said May, not July.
Okay.
Gowon came in as a result of the counter coup in 66. When General Rossi passed Decree 34 of 1966, which centralized all infrastructure of governance in the CNC, the unification decree. From that moment, the constitutional order that brought us into independence, however imperfect that it was, but yet aligned for competitive development amongst the three principal regions that birthed Nigeria, the political entity called Nigeria, three federating units, before it became four after the Republican Constitution. The Midwest came out of the West as a result of some political machinations. Now, from May 1966, we started the journey of deliberately wanting to clap with one hand. Is it possible to clap with one hand as a result of either ignorance of the military leadership or indeed maybe the predisposition of those who first gained circumstantial leadership of state, obliging the intelligentsia, the tribal intelligentsia of their community, obliging them the intellectual passage of making sure that the country that came into independence as a federation suddenly started ruling itself with a codified body of rules. Decree 34 of May 1966, which over-centralized power. You know what? When the counter coup took place, one of the ostensible reasons why the counter coupists struck was because they wanted to relieve Nigeria from the over-centralization of Decree 34 of May 1966. But when they came into power, like all the successive administrations Nigeria has had since then, they discovered that we are now the controller of this enormous power. Why should we shed it? That is why even when somebody like me supported a man whose party touted devolution in 2014, 2015, I'm sitting here now knowing for sure that devolution will not happen under this president, because you know what? The president of Nigeria is one of the most powerful on the face of the earth. The power is too much, and they are not ready. They are either not intellectually visionary enough to know that to get Nigeria systemically working, that enormous powers must be devolved to all strata of governance so that people can be engaged to solve their problems themselves.
Let's look at whatever errors, whatever mistakes, whatever misadventures we may have had in the past. In 1999, we all came together to correct it by actually bringing back the Fourth Republic. And for 20 years now, we've had democracy in place. I mean, uninterrupted democracy in the last 20 years.
We've had civil governance in place. There's a difference between democracy and civil
it's democracy, which civil rule, yes. Civil, but it's democracy that we practice. Is there any? Do you want to give it any other name? Now, democracy for 20 uninterrupted years. Now, whatever misadventures may have happened in the past, these 20 years, I mean, would we have got it better? or did you suggest that maybe another form of rule would actually suit us in Nigeria?
Since 1999, we've had civil rule in place. And I'm choosing my words carefully. Democracy, what is democracy? By the standard of the liberal neo-Greco-Roman democracy that Nigeria has subscribed to since 1999, the presidential format that we borrowed from America, if you use what is happening in China, who also will celebrate its independence or Liberation Day tomorrow, you will say China is not a democracy. But you know what? Ever since the late 70s and the early 80s, when Deng Xiaoping made the chieftains of the Chinese Communist Party to come to the realization that the best way to put China on a sustainable pace of progressive development would be to allow a system that will let 1,000 flowers bloom, thereby incentivizing creativity, incentivizing productivity of the average Chinese. China, that is not a neoclassical democracy that you people are touting like the West, has now officially beaten the West. The most prosperous nation in the last 150 to 200 years has been America. China has overtaken it now as a point of sustainable and strategic development. Because what? Because the average Chinese has been one that is imperative in all historically successful nations. One, the Chinese leadership has known to empower the average Chinese with qualitative education, not certification. No. People chase certificates there. But you must remember that there's no place on the face of the earth where certificates solve problems. Skilled human beings solve problems. Anywhere in the world. I've lived in a number of societies in my life. I told you I lived in Germany. I told you I lived in the United Kingdom and was even a member of the ruling party in the UK. They presented me for election. So I know what I'm saying. Societies become great because of the investment that society has put in its human capital.
No, human capital.
I'm saying that between 1999 and now, I have not seen the Nigerian nation doing well enough to enrich its citizenry and incentivize the political class. Indeed, the public servants, the political arm of it and the bureaucratic arm of it, they have not come to the realization that the greatest agent for development in Nigeria is the Nigerian people. You probably slept overnight today with the power you generated. You probably took a bath this morning with the water you generated. You probably slept because you knew you were one of those who contributed money to security in the neighborhood where you slept. And yet, all the government sees you for as being good for is to slap a VAT on you, to multiply the form of taxes on you. So I'm sitting here, you are saying a democracy.
Talking about human capital development, Nigeria still prides itself. Of course, some people may not like it. We are amongst the country that export the greatest number of medical doctors to the world. And where does that skill come from?
And we are also the poverty capital of the world. With a population a fifth of India. With a population a fifth of India, we are also the poverty capital of the world, knowing that our population is just a fifth of India. And you know what? The doctors and the experts and the expatriates that we have exported should tell us that something is wrong with a country that has provided for these people to become who they are, but those people are finding it so inhospitable to live in that country.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gbola Oba. Let me just let people know, our viewers know, that they can be part of this program by actually sending text messages only. Text messages, please, to 070-5929-1146. Again, I repeat, 070-5929-1146. Then let me just remind you of our social media platforms. That's we're on Facebook. That's on Facebook we're on summit.ng. Then on YouTube is Summit TV. On Instagram is summit_current trends. Then on Gmail, that's asksummittv@gmail.com. Yes, 07059291146. Yeah. Economically, we may not be doing well, sir. Where did we actually get it wrong? There are indices that the per capita income is getting lower and lower, and an average Nigerian is finding it difficult to actually make ends meet, despite several government interventions in terms of social investment and schemes and all that. What are the things that are wrong? Why have we not got it right?
We have not gotten it right because, like I said earlier on, all sustainably prosperous nations on the face of the earth focus on the human capital. In Nigeria, we seem, and I will give this credit to this government.
To this government?
I will give this credit to this government to a certain extent, because this is the first government in the political history of Nigeria that has emphasized, at least since May 1966, that has emphasized national social investment as a program of priority to government. But you know what? Because between our political class and our bureaucratic class, we don't seem to have re-engineered the ethos of governance. Those programs are still largely tokenistic. Tokenistic. It would have been more powerful if they were to be as impactful as they ought to be. But at least you cannot discredit a man for at least realizing that it is imperative to walk a path of glory, even when that man is still walking with a limp.
Now, but you are aware of trader money, you are aware of anchor borrowers, you are aware of, when you talk about tokenism, is it that Nigerians expect that millions would do it rather than maybe the little amount that government is actually making sure goes round?
It would have been lovely if it was not the Vice President of Nigeria who goes about marketplaces distributing naira notes, which, as we speak now, has gotten him into a form of controversy. Am I right? It would have been lovely if the policy of government was to incentivize functional commercial institutions like banks, development banks, indeed agencies of state, to have a systemic methodology of engaging the average entrepreneur, sifting the serious out from the unserious, not the melodrama of going into a market and be seen, and engaging them and holding them with entrepreneurship strategies, mentorship, and also such monies to give them sustainable path of business growth. But I see a lot of melodrama in it. Okay. And the melodrama has now culminated in a form of controversy for the face of the program itself.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hang it there. We'll actually go on a short break. Of course, we'll go on a short. When we return, the program resumes and we'll continue with Mr. Gbola Oba. Thank you for joining us. Yes, sir, you are welcome back. A state summit. We are on Nigeria 59, the eve. Now, what are your expectations? We'll be asking for you to actually contribute 07059291146. University admission without stress. We've advised you earlier on the program to go to University Access Center, 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja, where you meet Dr. Peter Ogudoro, the CEO of University Access Center, who offers you very, very professional advice on how to seek admission to for your children, for your wards and children. And you can also contact him on 080-2324-9654. Dr. Peter Ogudoro, the career management expert, 080-2324-9654 at University Access Center. If you have done your post-UTME and you did not gain admission, no hope is lost yet. Seek alternative routes to gain admission at University Access Center, 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja. Thank you so much, sir. Nigeria's expectations. What do you think Nigerians' expectations will be now? Yeah, their government, you see, you said there have been dashed hopes, missed opportunities, and so on, misadventures and all. Now, at 59, I don't think all hope is lost yet.
Not at all.
How can we actually get it right to actually restore hope in Nigerians?
It takes two to tango. An average Nigerian watching this program this morning must realize that leadership is not only about those who are in government. Those of us, you and I, we are in leadership. We're in leadership in the private sector. We must come to the realization that businesses, especially businesses that will transcend a generation or generations, are usually businesses that focus on human edification. Now, if enough of us who are leaders in the private sector and who are entrepreneurs make strategic entrepreneurial decisions in that line, it shall be well with Nigeria. Now, let's also take it away from the populace now and say, if you are either in political or bureaucratic leadership, I am one who believes that the business model through which we govern the Nigerian state today is not only anachronistic, but will not provide.
Can you say the same thing of our political system to model? People say a presidential system is not suitable for us. Very expensive, extremely expensive, and is only top heavy. Nigerians are suffering.
Democracy is always very expensive, even parliamentary system of government.
As expensive as
because look,
system of government.
the idea of a country as big as Nigeria, having 360
House of Rep members.
And even in the First Republic, we had the Senate. Inevitably, you will service these people. You will remunerate them.
That is the same you are referring that you are still
but that was parliamentary.
No, the bicameral legislature that you have.
Look, we had bicameral then, we have bicameral now. But you know what? The executive chieftains' offices were not in the First Republic. Notwithstanding the fact that the Prime Minister and the Premiers were first amongst equals in Parliament. But liberal democracy is always expensive anywhere in the world. No, I won't sit here but the central ideological efforts of government. Look, you want me to shock you? This will shock you. A comparative study was done of the 100 most powerful people in the Chinese government about 10 years ago, and 100 most powerful people in the American government. The richest of the 100 in America could not make number 60 in the richest in the Chinese government. So something tells me that China is far more corrupt. Because those people made their monies being rent seekers. But there is a central ethos of governance in China that says, upon the corruption, upon all the inadequacies that will prevail in a human society, they have known to focus reward and incentives for those who power their economy. So the Chinese Communist Party will tell you, go and become anything in so much as you increase productivity and add value to the Chinese state in the area of the economy. But if you muzzle or if you want to come into political relevance, we will kill you. You know what China is even doing? The terminology soy, state-owned enterprises. There's no Chinese billionaire. There's no Chinese billionaire as we speak, whose enterprise is not surreptitiously
linked,
funneled, financed by the Chinese Communist Party.
Let's look at the youth. The youth would always come to at beer parlors, at youth centers, and not always put all the blame on our leaders. Oh, they got it wrong. They got us into this mess. Do you think the youth have done well? The youth of this country, they've done well. They've been talking about youth since 1960. Those youth at 60, they are the older men today. Now, have they done right? Have they done well for themselves and for the generations to come?
This particular generation of youths had the most shortchanged in the political history, in the history of Nigeria. The benefits that you and I had when we were in college, do they have it? Fortunately, all my children school abroad. They live abroad. And I know what the UK government, and indeed the American government at the county and state levels do to supplement education. Even when you are fortunate to have a child in public university in Nigeria, do you know what it costs to see them to, notwithstanding the fact that majority of those who patronize private tertiary institutions, they pay through their noses. And when those kids come out, because you have largely failed them by subjecting them to obsolescent curriculum, they come out to find themselves in a state of anomie. When I was young and you were young, but
they make billions even as artists these days. And even you,
what percentage?
They make billions.
What percentage of that?
All right, Mr. Gbola Oba,
we are the ones failing them.
Let me ask this on a final note. If you were to see President Muhammadu Buhari one-on-one, the way I'm sitting close to you, what would you tell him? He has the next 3 years to actually turn around things in Nigeria.
Your Excellency, sir, your expressed political desires are right. But the system, the machinery that will sustainably deliver those desires are very rickety. Typical example, you want to fight corruption. Some of us have been saying it for 5 years. You tested the whistleblowers law. It gave you some people that ordinarily you wouldn't have caught. And yet, your government, either under the 8th National Assembly or under the 9th National Assembly, is yet to get an executive bill into the National Assembly to pass a whistleblower statute. And that is why, in the case of Alibotin, some people are in jail in America. Those involved, established by the American court process, to be involved are working free.
But you have seen what government is doing now with P&ID.
The P&ID.
Have you seen what government has done?
The P&ID.
Would you commend government for what?
No, because
this administration.
No.
Were they culpable?
Because for 6 months.
Did they sign it?
No, because for 6 months the P&ID judgment was there. Baba refused to choose his cabinet. People like you were celebrating him. And for those 6 months, those people were meticulously using the British legal system to establish. And even when he appointed his Attorney General, what became of his Attorney General? Utter incompetence for 3.5 years. Now, with all the advantages Nigeria is gaining regarding traction in fighting back, if we had deployed this 3.5 years ago,
some Nigerians will disagree with you, I believe.
No, the facts are the facts are the facts.
We have hosted even last time.
I said the facts cannot be said.
An attorney at law who actually applauded
The facts are the facts. This Attorney General left the issue of P&ID idling, and the company was meticulously using the legal system.
We have to go.
In less than 1 month,
we have to go.
The company is now begging for negotiation.
We have to go.
If we had done this 3 years ago.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gbola Oba. We sincerely appreciate your coming.
Thank you for the
and your very, very invaluable contributions.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure Nigerians have profited from what you have actually said. Don't worry, we did not receive, or we don't have the text message, maybe some network problems. But I believe Nigerians watch you and they appreciate your contributions.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Let me wish you happy Independence anniversary.
Nigeria.
I will be around for a long time to witness many more.
By His grace.
By His grace.
By His grace.
Nigerians, happy independence in advance. Tomorrow is the day. Come out and celebrate with us. Nigerians believe there's a lot to celebrate about our unity, about our togetherness, everything that God has given us as a nation. My name is Banjibu Sari. It's been Summit, and meet us again on Wednesday, where we shall be having another fresh episode of the program.